So it's been some time since I installed this laundry, and we've got a puppy coming, so I want to be able to put in the side panel that goes next to the wash machine, and that will enable me to install a kick panel so that the puppy doesn't get underneath the cabinets. So let's get started. So first thing I'm going to do is just turn off the cold water here. So next thing I'm going to do to catch the water, I'm just going to put in a foil tray underneath. Next I'm going to slide the side panel in. Now I guess originally I wasn't really worrying about that bit there. I wasn't going to be installing the side panel, but now that I decided to install a side panel, I either need to scribe that shape into it, or I can take out that piece of wood and just cut it to size. So I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's push that back in, and we'll just mark what we need to cut off. The other thing that we need to do is we'll also need to scribe in here for the shape of that tile. But for that I could just mark where it needs to clear, and then I can just cut out the thickness of the tile in there. Now let's just hope that I didn't glue this in place. So it'll be much easier to cut this than it would be to scribe a curved angle into that. And hopefully these will be going back into the same holes. Okay, so now it's going to clear that piece of wood, which is good. Now I just need to cut out the slot for the tile. So next thing I want to do is work out how far back this panel has to become to be flush with this. So I'm just going to stick a depth gauge on that. So it's that yellow button to 0. So it's 0 that, and put it down. And that's 6.64 millimeters or 17/64 inch. And I'll just double check that down the bottom. So it's nearly 8 millimeters there. And I'll just quickly measure what the depth of the tile is as well, so in the same manner. So that's 9 millimeters for the tile. So I'm just going to set the calipers at just over 9 millimeters. And I'm just going to score that in, so up to the edge, a bit in the middle, and a little bit at the bottom. So one thing I've done is I've put down a protective sheet to protect the front of the panel, and then we'll just go cut along that line. So I made a little bit of a mistake. So when I think about it more logically now, what should have happened was, okay, so we've got to cut 8 millimeters into here, but since I've cut all the way up, then that means everything's all flush with just the tile. So you learn by your mistakes. Since it's for just behind the wash machine, I'm never going to see it, so it doesn't really matter that much. So now I'm just going to transfer the holes that were in the cabinet side onto the panel. There we go. So let's remove this panel now. So now all we'll have to do is just cut this out. So I'll just get the hole saw for that. So this is the size of hole that I used to do it before. It's 52 millimeters. I'm just going to try and mark it where the centre is. So we'll run out of battery there, so what I'm doing is I'm just going to cut halfway through and then do it from the other side. So let's cut through from the other side now. One down, one to go. Okay, so let's jigsaw the rest of this out. Next thing we're going to do is drill some pilot holes for the screws that are going to go through into the panel to hold it in place. So if I just take these screws, so I'm going to use a 2.5mm drill bit. The distance between the centre shank there is almost 2.5mm, so that will make it easier for the screws to go through. It's probably worth mentioning I'm using some stainless steel screws for this, so these are stainless steel chipboard screws, and that's because the laundry is quite a damp or humid area, so I don't want the screws to rust. So I'm just going to check what size the head on these screws is. So it's 7.66. So I'll just select one of the smaller countersink bits that I've got. Do. And I'll just repeat that for the other ones. Now in preparation for putting the panel on, I need to make sure that when I screw through here that it doesn't push the panel away, so I'm going to have to remove the door. So I've taken the end of the clamp off, slid it through the hole, and now, let's see if I can get this back on. Okay, so it's well clamped on from that side. So I'll just double check what the overall depth this is. So it's 35 and a bit millimetres, so I've got some 30mm screws, which should not pop through the other side. So I'm just going to repeat that for all 4 screws. So I can make sure that that's right up against the edge. What I've done is I've just turned the clamp around and we can put it as a spreader. So now we can just screw in and know that it's not going to push the panel out when I screw it in. Cool. So now I should be able to reassemble what was taken off earlier. So now we've got that pipe coming through. So the waste pipe will just go down that one here. Okay. The cold water supply comes through here. So we'll just reattach the cold water inlet. Now, let's just turn that back on. Got water coming out the tap. And just turn that off. And just check that this is dry. So take a dry cloth. Still dry. Cool. Just put these doors back on. These ones have got a nice little spring that you press in. Cool. So now we just have to put the washing machine back in. Pull this electrical cable up. I'll just check these cables feel okay. Okay. That one's got plenty of slack. Now just to clean up. Cheerio.